This episode is brought to you by 180 Markets, where it is our goal to bring every individual, fund manager, family office, or any qualified investor access to Australian Stock Exchange capital raises. If you are ever interested in how to access ASX capital raises in a super simple way, 180 Markets is for you. The sign-up process is easy. You just upload your ID, proof of your investor status, and your current brokerage account information. The settlement of shares goes right into your existing account, and you can access our very next capital raise. If you're interested in free, easy access to thousands of ASX capital raises, including placements, IPOs, reverse takeovers, and more, check out 180markets.com.au. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of 18 Minutes with 180 Markets. Friends, you know we are always trying to bring you great investment ideas. But as much as that, what I like even as much as that, I should say, is finding hidden gem great investment ideas. And we have with us such a company today, Star Combo Pharma, a company that you may not have heard of yet, but you should know. And the reason why is because the company is right on those mega trends of selling into China, nutritional supplements. We all know that those are huge trends that are in place and are here to stay. And with us to talk all about how Star Combo is taking advantage is their managing director, Zhang. Sue, with that introduction, welcome to 18 Minutes with 180 Markets.
Hi, Greg. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, Sue, everybody's got a story and people invest in people. Can you just tell us a little bit about your story?
Look, Star Combo Pharma Limited initially was a very, very small scale company, and we initially started back in 2004. We're not a new company, we've always been around, but initially it was literally from the grassroots. We had a very, very small site, running a very lean operation whereby we were only just selling our own branded vitamins in 12 units, 24 units, very, very small pack. And then over the years, we've blossomed a long way from there to listing on the IPO back in 2018. And then now acquiring the investment managed current facility, and we are now sitting on 30,000 square meter of space in Western Sydney. The current business portfolio that we have has a TGA licensed manufacturing facility. It's also got a distribution arm. On top of that, it's also got a retail arm whereby we do online and offline supply. So fully integrated healthcare company.
Absolutely. And so maybe just to take us back for those of you, for those of us that are not so familiar, basically you create would you call it the formula for your products as well as manufacturing them? Is that accurate?
Yeah, look, great, 100%. Now, between our business unit, there are synergies through each individual arm. But with the contract manufacturing side, what we do is that we take on a formula, like you've said, and then we develop them. And then with the scientific research of the ingredients that goes inside, we then formulate the finished product. Now, on top of our own branded products, we also contract manufacture for a lot of leading players in the market space. So we do a lot of their products for them as well as our own products.
Excellent. And so, I guess it would be very similar to like white labeling in
Yes.
various products, whatever it is. And I know, it's always a lot of confidentiality around it. But the point is that, have you noticed also, I'd say over the last, 5 years, just the growth of the category of supplements and vitamins? Has that really affected your business in a positive way as well?
Look, I think to say the least, even through last year, right, during COVID, what we've seen is that a greater understanding and demand there for preventative health. People are understanding that a lot better through the pandemic last year, that preventative health is really a key booster in your overall immunity for yourself. So a lot of the products now can go without selling, and that increase in demand is driving our growth in the contract manufacturing arm. We are also boosting that up because we want Australian manufacturing to become the bread and butter of our economic growth post the pandemic world, and we think that we will get there. And we can see by the increase in government initiatives around this and also the increase in consumer demand around the space as well.
Absolutely. And I suppose, there are two ways I would love to go from there, which are number one, I think that in a country like ours where so much manufacturing has shrunk over the years, it's nice to see a growth market, if you will. And then the second is, maybe if you could touch on that. And the second, so it's doing good for our own domestic economy, but also, is there a trust factor that when you're selling into Asia, they like the fact that it's being manufactured here in Australia?
Look, I think you hit the nail on the head over there. So Australian manufacturing of basic line items like your glass or your plastic bottles and whatnot, like that is not in demand, right? And I get that it would be a shrinking industry. We're very lucky that we are playing in the healthcare space. We're training our vitamins in that space. And with the stringency of guidance by our local regulatory bodies, Australian manufacturing in the vitamin space is heavily regulated compared to the rest of the world. Now, basically what that ensures is that we've got a much higher level of standard with the products that we manufacture. Now, a lot of the issues that we have had is that Australian vitamin brands are not manufacturing vitamins locally. So whilst on the surface they are Australian vitamin brand, however, their manufacturing could be outsourced from all over the world. And that's just a commercial decision more than anything else, because naturally, due to the higher regulations, due to product is not competitive enough compared to the rest of the world. Now, this is why Pharma is dedicating 11 mil into upgrade of our facility and to increase our production capacity, driving economy of scale. Now, once I reach that, we're really in a spectrum to be able to compete in a global world stage to win those contracts back. Because if we are an Australian brand, we should be sticking with Australian manufacturing. That is why, we're investing heavily into upgrade our facility to be able to really move us into that next stage of development. So that we're not only winning across local contracts, but we're also able to win across global contracts and really make Australia a vitamin hub for the area.
Absolutely. And so I say, one of the things I like is that when you have a business, you're really growing and investing to meet demand as opposed to just trying to find demand in the first place. And, maybe for those of us that are not as familiar also with your, recent initiatives or investing in your plant, can you just maybe back up? I don't know if you call it a year or 2 years ago, like how did you get to the decision to invest more heavily into the business and where you are right now?
Yeah, look, I think during this time frame, and I'm not going to lie, look, the strategic direction was solidified with the onset of COVID. So with the pandemic, we reviewed our business groups in detail, and between each business unit, we see the strength and the resilience that contract manufacturing arm had during the pandemic stage. And we can see that it is still growing quite ferociously. So in the last year, this didn't happen over the last 3 years or whatnot. In the last year, we have acquired the adjacent land to our current facility at 171 to 171 Park Road. And then we've also built up a plan to upgrade our current facility to manufacture more product. So the plant that I was talking about with the 11 mils is simply dedicated to the upgrade of our current existing facility. And on top of that, we've also got a new facility that's just adjacent to us that's also under development, and that will predominantly be used to extend our R&D, innovation, and training hub to supplement our current business.
Absolutely. So I guess, the way I see it is what you're doing is you took a hard look at your business and you're really investing where in the sections of the business that you knew were working already.
Yes,
And,
yes.
classic investing, which is keep your winners and cut your losers, so to speak.
Easier said than done.
Absolutely, it is, but still, it's always important to kind of have that mantra, if you will.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and as far as the plan and the investment, when do you think it will come online? Where what is the timetable?
Look, the completion of the upgrade to the current facility, we're looking at completing that by end of 2022. But for those of you that had a look at us, you would have noticed in that recent half-year results that we have released that we are coming to profitability, right? We declared a profitable half, and that was during, I guess, one of the hardest years that we have ever seen, in my lifetime.
Absolutely.
So I think, going into the next steps and the next stage of development, I'm really quite confident about the outlook of the company and the groups that we currently have.
Excellent. And so as far as over the next 12 months is the key goal to get this facility, to create progress there?
Yeah, 100%. Look, we've started the construction already in the upgrade of the facility, but the main focus in the next 12 months will be purely on expanding our current reach. So, like gaining a client, gaining more new client following through that stage, and then also complete the upgrade of our current facility. And at the moment, we're signing on new distributors, we're signing on new well-known players in the market. So I think it's definitely a positive growth direction with that.
Absolutely. And also, just to break into it, and I know that every contract is different, but can you just describe, so when you get a new client and you start manufacturing for them, do they sign into like a 1 year deal for you, a 6 month deal, or is it a long deal? Like, what are the timetables like?
Look, every single one of them is different.
Yep.
So
So it's hard to
we,
bucket them.
yeah, that's correct. But the thing about, I guess, contract manufacturing here locally, and especially in the vitamin space, that's very, very different to, your cardboard boxes and whatnot, is that we have a strict, there's not that many players in the market with a full manufacturing scope like us. So it's not that easy to, sort of do a job with us and then do it with somebody else tomorrow. We're guided by something called an OSL registration. So through that registration processes, you're only allowed to put certain players, like, certain capable players that's currently registered with a full manufacturing scope on your license. And once you've done that, it's not that easy to just get out of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it reminds me of like, you have a contract with Microsoft, even if you could leave tomorrow, it's not easier said than done, so to speak.
Yeah.
There are not as many players. And I guess that's also where, if your strategy is to expand globally, being in Australia is really considered a benefit because the regulations are so strict, it could actually work into your favor. Would that be accurate?
Yes, yes. And also, I think, the environment of where we are at, fortunate or unfortunate, there are not that many players around. So luckily, for us, I guess, demand is greater than the supply capability. Whilst there are a lot of contract manufacturers out there, like, for the vitamin space, they don't have the same level of full manufacturing scope like us. So in that case, it limits their capability to be able to churn out certain dosage forms, whereas we don't have that limitation because we've got a full spectrum.
Right, absolutely. And and I say, one of the questions that always comes up with any, retailers type of business is, how has the move to online affected their business? Can you just share with us, how for Star Combo, the online move has affected Star Combo?
Yeah, look, I'm so glad you asked that, Greg, because I think that's very imminent. And if we still think our online retail model is not here to stay, then I think we're casting a blind eye to it. It will stay, it will become more prevalent. Post-pandemic, it's only accelerated its growth. So we need to be agile and adapt to that. And because we also have a retail arm with online or offline distribution, we're able to capture that market insight by firsthand. So a lot of things that we have seen is that in that space, the level of demand on the supply chain is a lot more fierce than traditional models. If
Really?
they want something, they want it yesterday, not tomorrow.
Right.
So this is also one of the reasons why we have upgraded the facility to reduce turnaround times so that we are able to better respond to that growing retail space.
Absolutely. I think that people's consumers, and I certainly know I'm guilty. I don't know if you call it guilty of it, but like where we're used to now getting things, as you said, getting them yesterday, and people just won't
Yeah.
wait 3 or 4 months and tell you that it's coming in the mail, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think rightly so, because consumers are a lot more savvy than what they were 5 years ago, like, or even 3 years ago. And consumers are a lot more demanding due to obviously more knowledge and more insight and more transparency. And this is also one of the other reasons why we are doing this, because consumers 5 years ago will trust an Australian brand, right? If you're simply branded being Australian, they trust that brand. Consumers today goes to see that chain of that supply chain model, and they really question whether the product is authentically made in Australia or not. So with that in mind, we sincerely believe that doing this is not a can do or can't do scenario. It's not about just a business review and this is a great space and we'll get into it. We have really caught a lot of insights from all our knowledge base, and we do think that this is a must. Like, we have to do this, and we're also going to do this to support the economy recovery coming out of the pandemic as well, because manufacturing really is your bread, it is your bread and butter.
Absolutely. And also by having an upgraded facility, will that allow you, one of the things I'd always notice, especially in supplements, is that the trends can change very quickly about what is happening and what's not. Does this also give you more flexibility with your product suite?
Yes, to some degree, but whilst the trends change, you're right. Today they could be having fish oil, tomorrow it could be calamari oil, the next day it could be krill oil. But generally speaking, what we find is that that's the type of ingredients that change. But the core of how you consume it, we've been having, tablets or capsules for God knows how long. So the dosage form itself, it does not change.
Absolutely. Well, Sue, I like to keep these short and sharp, but it really sounds like you are, right on that trend of, as I said, the health and wellness, Australian branding, selling into China. You have a clear strategy with your contract manufacturing that you've taken a hard look at, which I think is excellent. Do you have any closing comments for the audience?
Yeah, look, I think, if you're not taking a vitamin today, I think start popping it. But there's always an area that we will look at it. Unless you do it, really we don't know. But I'm not selling on a fad. We need to have things that's got clinical evidence to back it. So especially nowadays coming into winter, your vitamin C's, your echinacea, your zinc, go for it.
Absolutely. Sue, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Stay in touch.
No worries. Thank you, Greg.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching another presentation by 180 Markets. Don't forget, if you want access to thousands of ASX capital raises, head on over to 180markets.com.au, sign up, and get on board for our very next capital raise. Thanks for watching.